Hey, so welcome to week 2 in CIT93 JavaScript. And it is actually the first day of the semester, and it's been a long day, but a good day. I met a lot of fun people today, and I'm actually back at my home. My schedule is I get up in the morning, I grade, I do my routine, I eventually get to campus. I do my office hour, which, by the way, my office hour, one of the topics today is listed in simple syllabus, right? So on campus or on Zoom, whichever works for you. Zach's hours, you can check on simple syllabus. Zach is a tutor for this class, and great to see him as well. The point of the get help is to get help. If you need help with something, you're struggling with getting some code to work, or you're trying to understand a concept, getting help is really good. Good idea. So I'm back at my house now. I just finished reviewing the content for this week, so I'm going to go over it. But I thought I'd start with a first, and I know we looked at in week 1 already, having you do a little bit of research. But MDN, in addition to the being the documentation source for JavaScript, has also provided some really good tutors and tutoring and challenges. What is JavaScript? So I've given you a link here because, like anything, the more muscle memory, the more content, the more exposure you get better at it. I mean, this is true with everything in life, right? Like I'm working on my physical muscle right now, and so the more I do it, and there's a term called progressive overload, the more I stretch myself to really like do to the point of exhaustion. I'm not telling you to do it to the point of exhaustion, but the point is the more you do something, the better you get at it. So I mentioned this in week 1 in the first, when we were doing the Hello World assignment. But the importance of learning Chrome DevTools can't be overstated. It's something that will be part of your technical interview. So knowing how to use it. So I have opened a simple page like we did before. And if I was to just, here's the page itself, right click, inspect, right? And in inspect, if you don't know how to use inspect, in this case, it drops into the elements, which is the HTML, right? And you've learned how to use exclamation point and tab to generate that base HTML. If you're taking HTML with me, either in 82 or in 85, you'll learn more about that there. In JavaScript, it's good to have some knowledge, but we learn it as we need it. So the console is actually available to us, right? So we know there's something on the console. Here, if we wanted to just go to console, and then we could go to sources, and when we're in sources, I had already was playing around with this before, but in this case the main is the JavaScript file. So there's only one line in here, right? So right now, if I hit refresh, what will happen now is that it has not run that line. Okay, so it's paused right there. And so what you learn how to do over time is you learn how to step, right? So you step into code, because oftentimes when you're writing code, it's hard to see what that code is doing, and DevTools will give you some really great insight into that, and that's something I will definitely cover as we go through the course. But if I hit step here, then we see that that line executed. It tells me what line it was on. So just learning for now how to step through code will be great, because you're going to write some code this week. Matter of fact, let's just pull back. I haven't published. I'm actually getting ready to publish week 2. So what you have this week is you're going to have a code along with me where you basically just do some setup. We talk about MDN a little more, semicolons. We talk about Git and the workflow and the importance of commits, because it's part of how I grade. Also, by the way, the other way I grade, and I don't think I said it in here, is does your code work? I actually run your code to make sure it does work. So if you're getting errors, understanding how to see those on the console, way important. Different ways to write JS, right? The defer, the importance of the defer, right? So this is the video, and then and I believe I covered this If I didn't, the commit history, right? So, and I think I did in here, but going forward, if I was to go to GitHub 93, and I was to look at, let's say, my public repo. Now, this is probably not a good example because typically for public repos, we do not. Let me see. Repos here. And I could, and this is the other thing, right? When you first come in here, you're going to see, oh, I actually don't have that other one set up. I'm surprised. I haven't pushed it yet. But I guess I'll have to use this one. Doesn't really matter. But when you do commits, what you want to do is give me the folder. Like this week, you're going to create a folder W2 for your code alongs. Okay, so then you would give me like if I go into W1, that actually would be my. Sorry, my bad. If I go into W1 here, I should see. Oh, it actually looked a little different. GitHub has changed. But in this case, that's my commit history. So that for your private repos is what you will do for that work. Okay. And then for the next one, you're going to go into variables, right? So we're going to talk about variables. And it's really important when you go through this one, and I give you a little bit of a code challenge, putting your comments in there. And then making sure you catch my variable rule because it's something that is important to understand why I use that. And I follow the general guidelines for recommendations for variable declarations, the difference, but and I give you a rule, but then understanding let, const, and var, and typically we're trying to move away from var. Right, so you're going to have another code challenge, right? So you're going to have code challenge, and then you have some more code, and then you submit here. Now, on the next one, this is where we're actually going to start looking at the carbon footprint, okay? The thing I want to tell you about the carbon footprint is that after I had set up this as our project that we're going to code through the semester, I started thinking about it, and I wanted you to know that the idea of me doing the carbon footprint is actually because I think it's a good way to approach a standard like creating a form, getting user input, processing that input, storing that input, presenting that input back. But I don't want you to feel guilty about your carbon footprint. Now, should you be conscious about your carbon footprint? Yeah, I think we all need to be conscious about that. And actually, at the end of the course, I talk about that a little more. But I just want you to know, don't feel bad here. It's not the intent at all for you to feel bad about your carbon footprint, okay? So this video, the other two videos actually were recorded previous semester. This one I recorded last semester. I updated it based on what some of the things that I saw the students kind of common pitfalls. But the thing about this is you really want to, when you reply, first you'll use that GitHub GitHub pages URL we set up in week 1. So now you'll have it for week 2. Making sure your page actually outputs based on you coding that, and don't hard code, and I'll talk about that here, so I'm not going to do it because it's redundant. But the last item is a new item. This is new, and actually I'm getting ready to record a video about this one next, and I realized I needed to record attendance before I could, but this is where you're going to take and you're going to actually use a product I helped create for seeing how well you're translating the concepts, and this is going to be on an ongoing basis. Now, let me come back here. This week, as you can see, attendance, 2 code alongs, a discussion, and a review. Here's what I want you to know about this schedule, is that for I would actually, if I was you, do the code alongs, and then I would attempt the second code along because it's not necessarily that long, but then you can get a head start here. So this is, and next week, or on Monday of next week, it's a holiday. So I move to the next day, but the campus is off that day, which by the way means I generally don't grade unless I just happen to have the time. But that's the other thing, is I grade daily during the week. This weekend I happened to be online and I was replying to stuff because I had made some mistakes. But typically I also don't reply or do work on the weekends because I have a life. I know it's crazy, but I do. And my work is my work is typically during the week. So why am I saying this, right? Is that this review I've put on Friday. But the thing I'd like you to know is that really, as long, because after I finish grading on Friday and I get my work done Friday morning, and because I've put this on Friday at the end of the day, I'm not going to see it until Monday. Right. So, but the idea too about this is like it's a review. So, also, sometimes maybe it's like I've done something, I want to actually do the review. And you're going to hear me talk about this in a video that I'm going to do in a minute. But I just want you to know, and I'm kind of playing with the way this works. So, I'm actually going to be interested in week 3, your feedback on the reviews and also on this schedule. Okay. But as you can see, there's a few things to work through here. Okay, now let's go back to attendance. And by the way, I haven't published. I'll actually end up publishing at the end. So what do you get points for? So in this case, I say a great way to, your reply is a great way to ask questions. And I've noticed today as I was replying to students, I was replying to them and their grade, and I probably need to start doing this in the course when it's appropriate because, you'd probably like to know the answer to some of the questions. So I'll get better at that, right? But here's the deal. Regarding any of the information, question is good. But what you get the points for, right? And actually, I want to make it both because I think questions are good. But is to do this. In previous semesters, I've had students actually give you, right? So I've had them at the end of the course give you feedback on like how to succeed. What advice would they give you? Because sometimes I notice the student-to-student feedback can be very helpful. As instructors, we say stuff, but sometimes it, I don't know, for whatever reason, it maybe doesn't land. But if you heard other students who have succeeded in this course, that might be helpful, right? And then so you get 80 points from that, 20 points for replying to one student, because these are now graded. Attendance of posts in the past were not, but these are. Okay, so let me just show you. This is kind of a funny saying how the sausage is made. But in this case, I'm going to come in here. I'm getting ready to publish. And what I'm going to move me out of the way here. Right, so this is attendance you have to contribute to that. The code long you have to submit, the variable you have to submit, and then the carbon footprint you have to contribute. It's a discussion, right? So the difference between discussion boards and assignments. And so what I'm going to add here is the review, and so you do have to submit this assignment. And you'll hear me talk about this. I'm actually going to refrain from talking about it here as much as I can. So now what happens now that I've set all of those up, when I hit publish, and by the way, this is the actual first day of the semester, okay, on Monday. And so if you're somebody who has actually gotten through, who's in the house, you now see content for the following week. And that's actually my goal, is to keep 2 weeks out for you to review. All right. Okay. So take a look. I enjoy seeing all the work from you this week, and let me know if you need anything.